Well, going into that topic, the cult, the last episodes we've been talking about something like everything about the cult and oracles and how they were being made and trained. But we left. I remember I asked you a question, and at the end you told me you don't have to forget that the priestess is providing her own fluids. So, just in simple words, what that will mean? What fluids to who? What are we talking about when we are talking about the fluids of the oracle or the priestess? What kind of fluids?
Yeah, all kinds of fluids. So all of those bodily fluids that you can produce, those are used within the rite. Now you can find this in the medical text where they discuss the use of these fluids, or you can find it in the poetry where it will make reference to the drugs, the plants that are used in creating the proper vessel for the fluids. You can see it there. Or you can see it in the texts that document the history of the cult. And the best example is the apocryphal texts of early Christian, that is Christing worship, when it was taken over by Jesus, the rite. His variation was added to the rite. At that time, you see the emergence of this communion, a sexual communion that is specifically the seed. Both men and women produce seed, a priest or a priestess, a son of God, or a priestess can produce seed. And that seed is their vital fluid. It's different from every other fluid. It's the vital fluid. So you see this expressed in the Greek very early on, just very simply, as the blood and flesh. When you administer to me your blood and your flesh, you are giving me the right. You are the cup from which I am drinking in order to receive the vision. So you see it in these texts like the Acts of Philip. You see it in sources that discuss the use by what we would call early Christians of these drugs for the sake of the induction of ecstatic states of mania and for the sake of traveling through these interdimensional zones, the uranoi, they call them. Right? And again, people say, does this have anything to do with Mithras? Of course it does, right? It is not just the Mithras liturgy, right? It is the Helios liturgy. It's Helios Mithras in the text. That's why they call it, right? The Mithraic liturgy, because it's Helios Mithras. Anybody who's involved in the cult knows that the granddaughter of Helios is that cup. That's the power that the cult produces. Is it Mithraic? Mitra was a female before she was ever a male. And this is exposed within the cult itself. That priestess is going to be giving you her flesh and her blood. Jesus is fighting for dominance in this priesthood, the echidnaic priesthood. We have a text that talks about the specific, there's multiple texts, but the Gospel of Philip is very explicit about everything and why the apostles must fight and destroy this other priesthood, which is the Mithraic, echidnaic priesthood, where the priestess is supplying us with the blood that gives us life.
Okay, and well, I guess I want to go into specifics, like when we say blood, and we, because I understand that you are saying like this concept of communion, the concept of the cup, and the actual thing you are drinking. Let's say you have to drink it, isn't it? Um, that it will create an effect, that it will be used for something that you are trying to, like the effect you are trying to produce on the initiated, or in the people that are part of the cult, or so do we know from the text what are we talking about? I mean, is the actual blood, is semen, ejaculate from a woman? What is it?
It's the within the okay. You can't ask that as a general question because it's different everywhere. We have different texts that talk about it differently. So you say, is it the semen? Is it the ejaculate? In the Mithraic liturgy, we have a Christing of mysterion. We have a Christing of the mystery itself into the eyes of the person who is being initiated. That
I'm sorry.
act.
I'm sorry, Ammon. And when you say Christing, for us, like everybody to understand, what do you mean? The Christing of something. What that will mean?
So, Christing and anointing, you might say, are two different applications in antiquity. Christing is the application of a drug that is involved in things that have to do with toxins and antidotes. So if you are going to treat scorpion envenomation, you're going to use a Christ. You're not going to anoint, you're going to Christ. In the Mithraic liturgy, the drugs are being Christed in a final compound form into the eyes of the initiate so that their eyes can be opened and that they can see. And what can they see? The text is explicit about what they see. Their sight, which is described as the process of being born again, palingenesis, the process of being born again. The vision that takes place is a standard vision. There are no variations. It's a standard vision. For example, the Virgin. You have to find the Virgin. Right? All of this.
So in the connection with, now that we understand that Christing is the application of a specific, you were talking about before which specific. We know they talk about the blood and everything. So can we go back to that specifics and that chemistry? What do we know about that? What are we drinking?
Right. Good luck with the chemistry. So the Mysterion is the name of what is being Christed into the eyes of the initiate in the Greek magical papyri. Okay. That substance, mysterion, that is being applied to the eyes, the word it uses is ops. And that ops is not just your eyes, but your visual field. So The cult was looking at this as Christing your visual field in order to see the invisible. This is being born again. So, the specific drugs that are involved are contained within the Mysterian. Now, this particular text gives a couple of ingredients at its very end that are going to be used in the process. But the Mysterian is not the drug that is the communion drug that initiates. The Mysterian is what is provided by the priesthood. They may use the drugs that you bring, which they do,